Good evening, my beautiful butterflies and fly guys. Listen, I know you're ready to get into tonight's discussion, so without pause, let's get right down to it. Recently, there was a very interesting story circulating concerning an interview with none other than the actress Vivica A. Fox. And this interview caused a bit of stir on social media. The statement that I would say that circulated around social media was this statement, which said, "I never met the man I could have children with." Now, in my opinion, that is a very critical and possibly offensive statement to some made by Miss Fox. And I'll tell you why later. There were those who fully, of course, supported the shocking statement she made, and those who, like myself, simply took this statement and formed it into a conversation to be had with others in order to provide some help, some advice, some guidance for our community. That is why tonight we are discussing the topic. Is it your fashion or success that's holding you back? Holding you back from what? That's a good question. We're going to get into this discussion, and you don't want to miss it because it's going to be a really good one. So listen, go ahead, grab your favorite beverage, and we will be right back after this. Are you ready, AB? All right, let's get it. Hit it. Yeah, in the building.
Fashion, I'm telling he spoke, he spoke, he spoke, he spoke, not so bad. He spoke, he spoke, he spoke, he spoke, fashion, I'm telling he spoke.
Again, thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. Listen, tonight's discussion centers around this viral interview from Vivica A. Fox. And when she makes this statement, again, "I never met the man I could have children with." Let's take a look at this viral clip, and we will be right back after this.
And I had them on the stage side by side. You come 6'2", you come 6'4", you come 6'45", and she behaved by 8:30 because I wanted to try one night. And sure enough, that clock on, it did. And at the end of the night, I was like, "Did you love it? Okay, I'll see you next time. All right." So what I want you, please do not ignore. I absolutely love children. In my life, it was career. And I never met the man.
We apologize for that video. Sometimes you grab these videos and from different platforms, you can't really get clarity on them, can't really get the audio. So we apologize for that. But as many of you know, Miss Fox, you can tell, is a very successful actress. Many of you know of her, who has not only celebrity, but fame and perhaps a small fortune. And if my question is, if she can't be the man that she finds worthy to have children with, the access that she has to men, then many of you, if she doesn't have that, then many of you do not, because you don't have that same access. Then what chance do those who don't share celebrity fame and fortune, if she doesn't have any success, if she can't find the mate to have children with, then what chance do you have? What chance do you have with your options? Now, does this really identify the reason why there are so many, hear me, successful women out there who are not only childless, but who are without a man? Does this help identify the reason? Simply, when it comes to Miss Fox, were none of these men that she dated in her past worthy enough? None of these men like this one. When it comes to her ex-husband, 6ix9ine, to whom she was married from 1998 through 2002. And get this, she stated the reason for their divorce was in fact that, and I quote, "My mother didn't raise me to take care of a man," end quote. Now let me ask you, did your mother or father raise you the same way? Does the level of success you've achieved influence or impact your response? Let me hear your comments in the chat. Let me hear your comments. Does your level of success that you've achieved influence or impact your response? Nevertheless, in Vivica's case, she did not settle even for this guy. All right, listen, Fitty. Listen, I don't know how much wealth 50 had at that time in 2003 when he and Vivica dated. But he matched her equally in terms of success and celebrity, I would say, if not far exceeded her in fame during that time. But there was no hope for the two, as the age difference may have played a part in the demise of their relationship. But I mean, listen, a guy that raps the lyrics, "I don't know what you know about me. I bet you can't get $1 out of me." Now, he said some other words, but I'm saying my part, the clean version. I mean, he said he was a PIMP. Come on. I don't know if that relationship was doomed from the beginning. But nevertheless, she was then engaged to Atlanta club promoter Omar Slim White, and this was in 2011. And this would also prove to not be a lasting, successful relationship. And then she moved on from Slim. This is Slim too. I mean, come on. She moved on from him to a younger man, and some of you may know this actor by the name of Robert Richard, who was only 31 at the time of their meeting. This was in 2014. And then the rumor mill, it stops concerning her dating life. And so that led me to focus my attention on this question. How could a woman with celebrity, fame, and fortune, that by all means is successful in her own right, say to other women that you can have it all when there's obviously no truth to that from her own example? This is one area that confuses me, and that is that there are those who give advice to many who themselves are not the example of the advice they proclaim to stand by. Oh, come on, you got to give me some shouts right there in the comments. You got to give me some hand claps, because many times we are following people who don't follow their own advice, because again, you don't see the outcome that they even themselves are telling you that you're going to have. How can you trust a resource or a source that doesn't display the outcome that they're telling you to go by? They're giving you advice, and you have to ask yourself, Did the advice they're giving me work for them? See, those are the things, those are the types of questions that you have to ask yourself when you're trusting your future to people who aren't following their own advice. I digress. So first, let me start off by saying that it's okay, and I believe this, it's okay to say that you don't want kids or that you never wanted them. There is no shame in saying that I think the first thing we must do is to erase the stigma that's associated with Black women who are childless. Come on, you gotta give me some claps. Do you agree with that? There is a stigma that is associated with Black women who are childless. See, she should not have had to defend her decision not to have children by saying, and I'm sorry you guys couldn't hear this, but in her clip she said that her godchildren are like her children. Now, that may be true in her mind, but I don't know one child. Listen, I'm a godfather, and I don't know one child that will come to the rescue of their godmother or godfather before they would their own mother while she's living. Come on, that is a truth. Secondly, I've asked myself, and I hope you're asking yourself as well, what is the example that Vivica is trying to set for young women? Is it simply that choosing your career over having a relationship is acceptable for our little brown girls? Or is it the notion that you can have it all? You can have the career. You can have the relationship. You can have the family. But my question is simply this. Is that true? Can you have it all? Is it possible to have it all without sacrificing any one of these at any time? If that is true, then my question simply is this: why are there so many successful single Black women settling for buying dogs? Oh. Listen, I guess that's okay. But for those of you that are married and are deciding to buy a dog instead of having children, listen, I think the Pope recently criticized those who did. And this is what the Pope said, Pope Francis, and I quote, he said, "Many couples do not have children because they do not want to, or they only have one and not more. But they have domestic animals, 2 dogs, 2 cats." He called the decision not to have children a form of selfishness. And this is a quote according to BBC News. Now, I know you're applauding for couples, but for those of you who are single, listen, the Pope did not let you off the hook either when he made similar remarks in 2014 when he said, and I quote, "Those who substitute children with dogs and cats feel bitterness of loneliness in old age." Wow. Did you get that? Bitterness of loneliness in old age when you have substituted having children for getting dogs and cats. I don't know. I'm just quoting what the Pope said. But listen, when we listen to Miss Fox in her interview, there were certain things that stood out in my mind, and I simply wanted to bring them to this platform to have this conversation with you. So tonight, I want to focus tonight's discussion on 3 key areas. And those are defining success, and then we're going to answer the question, does success equal opportunity? And then finally, what's holding you back? So let's get to it. Defining success. Now, those that are watching, I want you to help me with this. How do you define success? As a woman, my beautiful butterflies, how do you define success? Success is defined simply as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. For many of us, we would then be able to, just based on that definition, agree that we have over the course of time had a level of success. However, for this discussion, I want to dig a bit deeper into what I would call the essential meaning of success, which is the fact of getting or achieving wealth, respect, or fame. So many of us may have at least achieved one of those, if not all. I know some of you out there watching are famous or infamous. Nevertheless, has your mentality changed as your success has grown? Do you now see yourself as more deserving because of your success? And then in terms of dating, does your success attract or repel those of the opposite sex? Now listen, I remember a few years ago when I was driving a hoopty. It was a few years ago. And I remember I was driving that vehicle and I pulled up to a stoplight. Now this particular vehicle, you had to put it in park and keep your foot on the gas to keep the engine running, because if you didn't, the car was gonna turn off. Nevertheless, I was at the stoplight and I was in the center lane, and on the left of me, a woman pulled up in a nice luxury vehicle. And then on the right side of me, another woman pulled up in a luxury vehicle. And I just held my head down the whole time. I didn't even turn to the right or left of me because I knew that I was driving a hoopty. Now, I want to say that's not me. I mean, I know y'all say, hey, is that you? No, that's not me. My hoopty didn't even, you could see the roof hanging down. You probably couldn't even see my head in it, right? But listen, I knew that they would not acknowledge the young go-getter that was disguised in the hoopty. So my question to you is, that you today with all your success? Are you overlooking men because of your arrival to a level of success? If that is you, then perhaps it is worth it for you to redefine your definition of success. Let's look at this quote. It simply says this: success is being wealthy in wisdom, abundant in appreciation, rich in relationships, prosperous in purpose, comfortable with yourself. Oh, and having some money too. If you've got 5 out of the 6, you are way more successful than any person who only has the last one. What's the last one? Money. Maybe it is that successful women like Vivica Fox need to redefine what they define success to be. Let me ask you a question. Could it be that your attitude about your success has repelled people instead of attracting them. Sometimes it is the mindset that I believe makes you less attractive when you think like this. I think, for example, Vivica Fox's statement turns a lot of men off because it sounds like these men were less than in some way to her. Now, if the shoe were on the other foot, ladies, I want you to answer this question. And it was 50 Cent making the statement that he never found a woman that he wanted to have his children. And then you research the women he dated like we did with Vivica. And all you saw were women who looked like you. Wouldn't you find that to be a bit offensive? Again, I'm acknowledging that her statement may be her truth, but I don't have to like it. That's right, I don't have to like it. Now, until our next focal point for tonight, that is simply this. Does success equal opportunity? Does success equal opportunity? What say you? I love some of the comments that I'm getting here when we talk about success. Being in a state of peaceful happiness. That's from Teresa. I love it. Success, peaceful happiness. So now, that focal point, does success equal opportunity? Now, if we were talking about men, I would say the answer is an unequivocal yes. I mean, come on. You've seen some successful men looking like a troll, but have a beautiful butterfly on his arm. Why? Because success gives him opportunity. Hear me close, women. Successful men have options. Successful men have options. But I'm not certain that is the case for successful women. Help me to prove my case. Let's take a look at one of the most successful women, excuse me, that many of us can point to as an example of success, and that is none other than Oprah Winfrey. Come on. By whatever measure you might choose, Oprah is definitely an example of success in this country, except for perhaps in one area, and that to me would be in the area of relationship. Now listen, come on, I love Oprah. I am a fan, and I know many will tune me out right now, but hear me close. I am not saying that one's success is diminished by the lack of success in marriage or family. But what I am saying is that some may wonder when it is all said and done why Oprah never married. I mean, I don't know about you, but being someone's forever girlfriend is not a flattering title. I mean, they were young and in love then, and now they're old and in love. I'm just saying, his dad looks like his dad on this picture. Listen, I know that's not a flattering title, but yet many of you will say that I'm wrong when you truly know in your heart of hearts that for you, that is not something that you would wish for yourself. Neither would you wish that for your child. You wouldn't wish that your children would be a forever boyfriend nor girlfriend. You would want them to be successfully married and have a family. But we're talking about Oprah. In an interview in 2019 that Oprah had with People magazine, She quoted, she said, and I quote, excuse me, I have not had one regret about that. And that was concerning her decision to not marry nor have children. Now, hear me close. The mere fact that she was asked this question shows you what the interviewer and more than likely millions of people felt was something that is regrettable. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. She is echoing, or excuse me, Miss Fox is echoing the same sentiment of Oprah Winfrey. And let me ask you a question. Do you hear yourself echoing the same? Are you making excuses while you still have the opportunity to be married if you would simply make some changes to have a better relationship? If you were simply willing to make some changes, have you already placed the epitaph on your tombstone because you're afraid to make a change? Listen, let's go on. Does success equal opportunity for women? Tell me, what do you think? Does success equal opportunity for women? Many women who I have spoken with personally will state that most men, and have stated that most men are intimidated by their success. And listen, I gave you an example of my personal testimony of what happened when I was driving my hoopty. And let me say this, I was not intimidated by the success of either woman because I knew who I was and who I was becoming even at that time. So I would say to those that say the same thing about the intimidation and that most men are intimidated by them, that it is not the men who are intimidated. No. Because most men know who they are. But for me, it was because my action, I simply responded that way was because I simply understood, even back then, what I had been shown by successful black women at that time. You see, I knew that they would snub their nose up at me. So to that point, I would say that if you want more opportunity as a successful woman in terms of relationships, then it is up to you to change how you feel about your success instead of how others feel about it. Oh, I love the conversations I get to have with my bishop. And he always tells us and tells me in those conversations that it doesn't matter how high you go or how high people see you. You should always see yourself as humble, as lower than what they see you. Listen, I'm just trying to help you to change your paradigm about how you see your success. Listen, I'm surrounded by successful butterflies. My mentor, one of my mentors, is a very successful woman, and she called me today to give me a bit of encouragement and instruction and advice, and I totally and truly appreciate everything that she says to me. Shout out to Racine. Yes, shout out to Racine, who is one of my mentors, who helps to direct and to guide me. So I am not intimidated by successful women. I appreciate them. But it is in this effort, it is in this platform that we're trying to help the successful women to have relationships, to be successful not only in career, but in relationships and with family. Hold up. Stop the show. Excuse me for interrupting your viewing pleasure. But listen, guys, We're almost at the end of the show, and I haven't asked you once to do this. But if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button down below. And if you're watching on Facebook, could you please hit like? Look, and if you really like it, share. Now, back to the show. So our final point for tonight's discussion is this question. What is holding you back? And so tonight, we're just going to focus on the first part of our topic, and that is success. We're going to table the conversation for the latter part next week. But we're going to ask the question, is success holding you back? So in an interesting conversation I was having with a friend of mine last night, and shout out to Maurice, he told me of a video that is circulating concerning an independent woman. And he followed up today by sending me the video. And I would say let's watch it, but I'm certain that AV is signaling to me that let's not watch the video because the sound is probably horrible on it. But in this video, there's an independent woman, and you can find this video on TikTok. But there's an independent woman discussing basically what she's willing to settle for because she's successful, because she's independent. Because of her success, she's able to now accept and settle for men who she would not normally settle for if she weren't successful. Did you get that? So if she were not successful, then she wouldn't settle for this type of guy. But because she is successful, she now can settle for it. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this the new trend where successful women are now settling for Pookie and Ray Rays because they don't require anything from them in terms of commitment or assistance, in case there is a childbirth? This mentality, let me talk about this mindset, this mentality is disturbing to me. And it makes one less attractive to me personally. And I would think to many men. It is again this mindset, this mentality that makes her less attractive. More than likely, there are some of you on this live right now that find this attractive because you share the same mindset. With a mindset like this, she will be 90 years old or 56 like Vivica Fox, singing the same old song while being alone and chalking it up as, I just can't find a good man. And ain't no good man out here. Yes. But let me help you here. And I hope to help you make a paradigm shift in how you think. And that is simply this. The good ones out here, and believe me, there are some good men out here. They don't want women who have this type of mindset. See, sometimes independence eliminates femininity in the minds of men. That's right. Excuse me. So many men don't want you to settle for them when they're not doing things that are becoming of men. But they want you to motivate them, to help motivate them to be all that they can be. I'm still in that quote from the military, be all you can be. I think the right woman will understand that her success can motivate and provoke a man to be successful in his own right. What do you think? Let me hear from you. But listen, I really wanted to open up the chat lines tonight and have this discussion, but I'm going to table that hopefully for next week. Seem to be having some trouble with my voice. Let me. I don't know what the temperature and weather is like where you are, but it's cold where I am. And yeah, so I'm going to table the conversation tonight. Listen, I have really enjoyed you all on tonight, and I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we will tackle the conclusion of the whole matter, bringing in our resolution concerning fashion next week. I'm coming to the end, but before I go, excuse me, I want to leave you with this final thought. Many of you may wonder why He Spoke Fashion is discussing this topic, and I simply want to share my response. It is our belief that fashion transcends what we wear. It impacts every area of our lives, the opportunities we have, as well as, more importantly, the relationships we make along the way. If you were to show me a fashionably dressed man or woman, I can prophesy to you that that person is going somewhere, and there will be doors that open for them. No, fashion simply isn't about what you wear on the outside alone, but about who you are on the inside as well. But listen, that's all I have for you tonight, and want you to have a good night, good fashion, and remember, He spoke fashion to you. That's all I have for you tonight. Have a blessed weekend. Yeah! In the building!
He spoke fashion. I'm telling he spoke.